What if peace wasn't something to chase, but something you've forgotten how to return to? We spend so much of life searching for meaning, for comfort, for control. We fill our calendars, scroll through headlines, try to fix what feels broken. And yet, in the quiet hours, just before sleep, or just as the sun rises, there's a voice that whispers, there must be more than this. But maybe it's not more we need. Maybe it's less noise, less hurry, less pressure to be anyone other than who we truly are. Because beneath the striving and the stillness, there is a space that remembers how to rest, how to listen, how to breathe. That space is what we call inner peace, and it's not far. In fact, it's already within you. The world may not slow down, but you can. And in doing so, you begin to touch the sacred, not in temples or mountaintops, but in your morning breath, your afternoon silence, your evening surrender. So today, I invite you to walk with me, not quickly, not with urgency, but gently. In the next quiet moments, we'll explore 10 simple yet powerful ways to return to yourself. No preaching, no fixing, just remembering. Because peace was never lost. It was just waiting for you to pause. Let's begin. Chapter 1. Breathe with awareness. Let me take you back, not far, just to this very morning. Do you remember the first breath you took when you woke up? Not the one you took to speak, or to stand, or to sip your coffee, but the very first inhale that brought your body back from sleep. Chances are, you didn't notice it, and you wouldn't be alone. Most of us pass through our days, even our years, without truly feeling the breath that carries us moment to moment. We treat it like background noise, automatic, always there, until it isn't. But what if I told you that your breath is more than biology? That it can be a bridge, soft but strong, that leads you back home to yourself. There's an old Buddhist story about a monk who lived deep in the forest. People would travel for miles just to ask him questions. But when one young man arrived, frustrated and restless, and asked, "What's the fastest way to find peace?" the old monk smiled and handed him a single instruction: sit and breathe like the earth is holding you. The young man scoffed at first, but he sat and he breathed. And after some time, not long, not short, something inside him softened. The chaos didn't vanish, but his grip on it did. You see, breathing with awareness isn't about adding anything new. It's about noticing what has been with you all along. When you inhale with attention, truly feel the air entering, rising through your chest, expanding your ribs like the tide. And when you exhale with softness, not rushing it, just letting it go like the leaf falling from the tree, something inside you shifts, not dramatically, not with fireworks, but gently, like fog lifting off a morning field. There's a phrase in the sutras that says, breathing in, I calm my body. Breathing out, I smile. That's it. No control, no agenda, just presence. Now I know what you might be thinking. I breathe every day. Why would I need to practice it? And yes, of course you breathe. But most of the time, you breathe through life, not into it. Think about the last time you felt overwhelmed. Maybe it was the news, a doctor's appointment, a phone call that stirred old memories. What did your breath do? It probably disappeared, tightened, shortened, shallow in your chest. That's the body's way of saying, I'm not safe. And when the breath shrinks, so does our awareness. So does our patience. So does our ability to respond with kindness. But when you take a moment, even one, to pause, to inhale deeply and slowly, and to release with trust, you're telling your nervous system, it's okay, you're safe now, you're here. So let this be your invitation. not to meditate for hours, not to control anything, just to pause, maybe right now, as you're listening. Close your eyes if you feel comfortable. Place one hand over your heart or your belly and take a single conscious breath. Inhale, feel the air as it enters. Exhale, feel what leaves with it. Nothing fancy, just you and the moment. And now, ask gently, what am I holding that I don't need to carry in this breath? What would it feel like to be fully here, just for now? Because when you breathe with awareness, you are no longer a passenger in your life. You are present in it, and presence is peace. Not the kind sold in books or found in distant retreats, but the kind already living in your chest, waiting to be remembered. And that is where we begin. Chapter 2. Practice letting go. Not everything we carry belongs to us. Some burdens were handed down from parents who didn't know how to say, "I love you," from a world that told us we had to be strong all the time, from years spent trying to prove we were enough. Others we picked up ourselves. Regrets, grudges, stories about who we are that we've repeated for so long, they've started to feel like truth. But here's the thing, peace has weight limits, and sometimes to feel lighter, we don't need to add more light. We simply need to set something down. There's a story I once heard from a Buddhist teacher in Thailand. He spoke of two monks walking together, deep in silence. As they approached a river, they saw a woman waiting. She couldn't cross alone. Though their vows forbade touching a woman, the older monk picked her up, carried her across, and gently set her down. They continued walking. Hours passed, not a word. Finally, the younger monk burst out, "Why did you carry her? That goes against our way." The older monk smiled and replied, "I set her down at the river's edge. Why are you still carrying her?" That story has stayed with me for years because it asks us to reflect, not on rules but on attachment, not on what happened, but on what we're still holding. Sometimes what burdens us most isn't the event, but the replaying of it, the looping thoughts, the inner courtroom where we're judge, jury, and prisoner. But letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean saying what happened was okay. It means choosing to stop dragging the past into the present. It means whispering, "Enough. This no longer serves who I'm becoming." Of course, I won't pretend it's easy. Letting go sounds simple until you're the one standing at the edge of the river, unsure of who you'll be without what you've carried for so long. But here's the quiet truth. What you lay down leaves room for what is real, and you don't have to do it all at once. Start small. Write a letter you'll never send. Breathe out the name of someone you still blame, including yourself. Light a candle for something you're ready to release. Even just placing your hand over your heart and saying, "You can rest now," is a beginning. In Buddhist practice, there's a word, upekkha. It means equanimity, the balanced heart, not cold, not detached, but steady. A heart that can hold pain without becoming it. A heart that knows the river will carry what we let go of, but only if we let it. So I ask you, gently, as a friend, what are you still carrying that no longer needs to be yours? And who might you become if you gave yourself permission to set it down? There is a kind of peace that doesn't come from gaining, but from releasing, from loosening the grip, from standing still at the river's edge, and finally, letting it drift away. When you do, even just a little, you may find that your shoulders drop, your breath deepens, and the silence around you begins to feel less empty and more like space. Space for something new, space for something lighter, space for you, and that space is what we'll tend to next. Chapter 3. Simplify your life. There's something beautiful about an empty room with sunlight on the floor. No clutter, no noise, just space. Open, warm, inviting. But most of us don't live that way, do we? Our days, our homes, our thoughts, they tend to fill up with things, with plans, with noise. Even when the body slows down, the mind keeps moving, making lists, remembering old disappointments, holding on to what no longer belongs. And slowly, we find ourselves carrying more than we meant to. Now, I'm not talking just about physical clutter, though that's part of it. I'm talking about the quiet weight of too much, too many commitments, too many shoulds, too many layers between us and the simplicity of just being. I once visited an elderly woman named Evelyn. She lived alone, in a small cottage with creaky floors and lace curtains. She had a kind of peace about her that you could feel the moment you stepped in, like walking into a warm bath. And what struck me wasn't just her calm, it was her space. She had very little, but every object had breath around it. A worn rocking chair, one shelf of books she loved, a tea kettle that seemed to know its way home. When I asked how she kept her life so light, she smiled and said, "I kept only what could meet me with silence." That line lives in me, because simplicity isn't about denying yourself comfort or joy. It's about clearing the path for what really matters to walk in without stumbling. The Buddha once taught that suffering comes, in part, from clinging, not just to desires but to complexity. When we simplify our homes, our habits, our thoughts, we create space for clarity, for presence, for peace. So what does this mean in daily life? Maybe it means saying no to one thing, so you can say yes to something deeper. Maybe it means clearing a shelf and placing one photo there that truly moves you. Maybe it's a practice of asking, do I need this, or am I afraid of letting it go? And it's not only about objects, it's also about time, about energy, about giving yourself permission to move through your day slower, with less noise, fewer tabs open in your mind. You don't need a minimalist lifestyle to live simply, you just need to live deliberately. Here's a gentle practice. Take 5 minutes today to choose one corner of your home, a drawer, a cabinet, a stack of papers. Touch each item and ask, does this nourish me or does it drain me? If it doesn't serve your peace, let it go with a quiet thank you. Not because it wasn't useful, but because your inner space matters now. And then, notice what happens. Notice how the room feels with just a little more air. Notice how your shoulders soften when you don't feel surrounded by too much. Notice how your breath moves differently when you're not pushing through clutter, inside or out. Simplicity isn't sterile, it's sacred. It's the kind of quiet that lets you hear your own thoughts again. The ones that speak softly, the ones that tell the truth. So I ask you, in this very moment, what could you gently remove? Just one thing, to feel more at peace with what remains. What might become clear if you simply made room for it? Because peace doesn't always arrive with ceremony. Sometimes it comes quietly, in the space where something used to be, and that space might just be the softest beginning. Chapter 4. Connect with nature. There is a kind of silence you can't find indoors. It lives under trees. It floats on the surface of still water. It rests in the shade of a quiet morning, where birds speak like monks and the wind carries no urgency. It's the kind of silence that doesn't ask you to change, only to arrive. I remember a man named Charles, a widower in his 70s, who used to walk the same forest trail every morning, not for exercise, not for steps on his watch, but for something softer, something slower. His neighbors didn't quite understand it. Why walk alone? Why not sit and rest? But Charles told me once, with eyes that held both ache and wonder, the trees are the only ones who know how to listen without interrupting. And I knew exactly what he meant. Nature doesn't rush you. It doesn't shame you. It doesn't ask you to be more than you are. In the forest, you don't need a title, a plan, or a purpose. You are simply part of something vast and alive. The Buddha often taught in nature, under the Bodhi tree, beside rivers, in open fields. His presence wasn't separate from the earth. It was grounded in it, the breath, the body, the soil, all part of the same dance. And when we return to the natural world, even for a moment, we return to that dance. We remember that we too are not separate. So what does this look like in your life? It doesn't have to mean hiking a mountain or planting a vegetable garden, though it could. Sometimes it's as simple as stepping outside without a destination, sitting on a porch and watching the light change, noticing the way a leaf turns when the wind speaks, letting your feet touch grass, bare, honest, real. Try this. Choose one living thing around you, a tree, a flower, even a patch of weeds. Sit near it, observe it, breathe with it, ask nothing of it, and slowly feel the line between you and it dissolve. Because the earth doesn't exist beneath us, it exists with us. And when we open our senses to it, when we listen not with ears, but with presence, something inside us begins to settle. The Japanese practice of Shinrin-yoku, or forest bathing, teaches us this beautifully. You don't need to do anything. Just be among trees. Let their stillness remind you of your own. Let their roots teach you how to stay grounded, even as the seasons change. And maybe that's the quiet gift of nature, not to escape life, but to return to it more fully. Because the natural world isn't something we visit, it's something we are. So I ask you now, when was the last time you let the wind touch your face without turning away? When did you last let the world hold you without needing to explain who you are? Peace lives there, not in isolation, but in relationship, not in control, but in connection. And when you remember that the ground beneath your feet is the same ground that holds all life, you may begin to walk a little slower, breathe a little deeper, and listen a little more. We'll carry that stillness forward into the next step of our journey as we begin to explore the beauty of change and the freedom that comes with embracing impermanence. Chapter 5. Embrace impermanence. Nothing lasts forever. We hear it all the time, in poems, in proverbs, in passing. But do we truly live as if it were true, or do we keep clinging to the people, the roles, the routines, trying to hold the river still in our hands? I once knew a man named Harold. He had worked as a woodworker for most of his life, a gentle soul, with hands shaped by decades of carving and sanding. When his wife passed, something in him folded inward. He stopped building. He stopped speaking much, until one day, his neighbor found him sitting under a tree in his backyard, holding a block of cedar to his nose, eyes wet. When asked what he was doing, he said softly, "I used to shape wood. Now I'm learning to let it change on its own." That simple sentence carried more wisdom than many sermons. You see, Harold was touching impermanence, not in theory, but in the marrow of his life. In Buddhism, impermanence isn't a punishment, it's a truth. A gentle one, if we let it be. It's the reminder that everything, even suffering, has a season. That what blooms will fade, that what hurts will shift, that even joy, when clutched too tightly, will slip away. And yet, that very truth is what makes life precious. Imagine if nothing changed. If your grandchildren never grew, if morning light never moved across your kitchen wall, If the songbird always sang the same note, we often grieve change. But would we really want the alternative? Impermanence teaches us to stop sleepwalking through what we think will always be there. It invites us to pause, to savor, to say thank you while something is still unfolding, not after it's gone. Now I know some changes are brutal. Aging, illness, loss. These aren't soft shifts. They're waves that take your breath away. But even the fiercest storm does not last forever. One Buddhist parable tells of a king who asked for a phrase to comfort him in sorrow and humble him in joy. His wise men returned with just 5 words. "This too shall pass." It sounds simple, but when spoken with awareness, not to escape, but to embrace, those words can soften even the tightest places in the heart. So how do we live this? Practically. You might begin each day with a simple reflection. What in my life is changing right now? Not to fix it, not to fear it, just to notice it. And then perhaps say thank you, even to the ache, even to the empty chair. Not because the pain is pleasant, but because it too is part of being alive. You might light a candle in the evening and sit with one memory, not to replay it, but to bless it for having existed. Or place a flower in a small bowl and watch it fade day by day as a gentle practice of release. Because to embrace impermanence is not to become cold or distant. It is to love more fully, to know that this hand you hold, this breath you take, this moment of silence will not return in quite the same way. So you cherish it, you show up for it, you bow to it, even as it passes through. And I ask you, as tenderly as I can, what might you see differently if you truly accepted that nothing stays? What if every ending was also a soft invitation to begin again? This truth may feel heavy, but carried with grace, it becomes light. Not because it removes pain, but because it teaches us how to live more gently, more presently, more fully, before the next wind comes. And now, as we breathe together once more, we move forward, not to escape what changes, but to create sacred space for it. Which brings us to the next way we find peace, through ritual. Chapter 6. Create sacred rituals. There are days when peace feels far, not because we don't want it, but because life, with all its noise and motion, makes it hard to hear. That's where ritual comes in. Not as a grand gesture, not as religion, but as rhythm. You see, in a world that changes faster than our hearts can keep up with, ritual becomes an anchor, a soft returning, a way to say, here I am again, still breathing, still here. There's a woman I met once, named Clara, 84 years old, soft-spoken, a widow of 20 years. Every morning before she opened a single window, she brewed a small pot of tea, placed 2 cups on the table, one for her and one for her late husband, and lit a small candle between them. She told me, I don't talk to the candle. I don't try to remember or forget. I just sit. That's our time. That's ritual, not for performance, not for anyone else to see, but for the soul to breathe, to remember its own pace. In Buddhist practice, rituals are everywhere, bowing before sitting, offering incense, chanting before meals, not as superstition, but as mindfulness embodied. A way of giving ordinary actions extraordinary presence. So what might that look like in your life? Maybe it's a morning practice of touching your hand to your heart before you rise. Maybe it's lighting a stick of incense while whispering a name you miss. Maybe it's writing 3 small gratitudes at the same time every evening. Maybe it's a walk, always the same path, not for steps, but for stillness. It doesn't need to be spiritual to be sacred. It only needs to be yours. Because ritual is how we slow time down, not by stretching it, but by stepping into it fully. I once heard a Zen monk say, "When you pour tea, only pour tea." And while that may sound too simple, try it sometime. Boil the water slowly. Feel the weight of the cup. Notice the swirl of steam. Breathe with it, and suddenly, your whole body knows you are alive. And isn't that the beginning of peace? You don't need more hours. You need more presence in the ones you already have. So here's a gentle offering. Choose one small act you already do. Brushing your hair, folding a blanket, lighting a lamp, and decide just for today to do it as if it were holy, because it is, because you are. And now I ask, what would shift if you treated your daily tasks not as chores but as prayers in motion? What if peace wasn't waiting at the end of your list, but hidden in the middle of it? The soul doesn't need perfection. It needs pattern, soft, nourishing, kind, and the smallest rituals, when repeated with care, begin to build something strong, a sacred inner structure, not made of walls, but of gestures, not guarded by force, but held in love. Let that be your temple, and let it carry you forward into the next truth, that even our pain, when written down, begins to loosen. Which brings us, gently, to the next chapter, the quiet healing that begins when we write. Chapter 7. Journal your emotions. There's a moment, quiet, simple, when the pen touches paper, and in that moment, something begins to soften. The walls between your thoughts and your heart start to blur. You're not speaking to anyone. You're not performing. You're just letting it come through. In the monastery, there's a saying, to write is to listen through your fingers. And I believe that deeply, because there are feelings too shy to be spoken aloud, too tangled to make sense in your head. But on the page, without judgment, without grammar, without expectation, they begin to unfold. I once met a man named Douglas, a retired school principal, who had lost his wife after 52 years of marriage. For months after her passing, he felt like he was drifting, not drowning, just unmoored. The meals kept happening, the house stayed clean, but inside, he said, there was a fog. And then one night, unable to sleep, he took out a notebook, a plain one, and wrote her a letter. Nothing fancy, just, "I missed your laugh today. The light hit the kitchen tiles like it used to. I made your tea, even though no one drank it." He told me that after the first page, something in his chest exhaled, and he never stopped. Some days he wrote 2 lines, other days 6 pages. But over time, the fog began to lift, not because the pain disappeared, but because it had somewhere to live. That's what journaling can be. Not a diary, not a record of accomplishments, but a shelter for your emotions. A safe place for the truths that don't fit in conversation. So how can you begin? You don't need the right words. You don't need a beautiful journal or a quiet room. You only need honesty and a willingness to pause. Try this. At the end of the day, sit with your breath for a moment. Then ask yourself, what have I been feeling that I haven't named yet? Write it down. Messy, if it must be. Simple, if that's what comes. Angry, confused, joyful, numb, all of it belongs. And if you don't know what to say, begin with that. I don't know what I'm feeling. Write it again. I really don't know. And eventually, something else will follow. Because the act of writing doesn't just express emotion, it reveals it. In Buddhist tradition, there is a practice called vipassana, insight, meditation. Its core purpose is not to stop thoughts, but to observe them as they are. Journaling is much the same. It is seeing clearly, naming without clinging, holding without tightening. And just like in meditation, the more gently you return to yourself, the more you begin to trust what's there. I invite you to think of your journal as a friend, not the kind that gives advice, but the kind that listens for as long as you need. A friend who holds your sadness without fixing it, who celebrates your joy without asking you to tone it down. And now I ask you, what might your heart say if you gave it a voice on paper? What if peace isn't about solving every emotion, but simply making room for it to exist? So write, not to impress, not to resolve, but to breathe onto the page and let that breath carry you somewhere softer. Because peace often arrives not in the answer, but in the telling. And when we begin to show up for our inner lives in ink, we build the strength to show up in the world with grace. Now let's carry that gentleness with us as we move into another layer of inner peace, one that begins not with effort, but with kindness. The next chapter is compassion toward the one person you may have forgotten to forgive yourself. Chapter 8. Practice self-compassion. There's a voice inside each of us. You know the one. It speaks when you forget something, when you don't do enough, when you feel behind, too slow, too tired. It whispers, sometimes sharply, you should have known better. Why can't you get it right? Everyone else seems to handle it, and you listen, don't you? Not because you believe it's true, but because, somewhere along the way, you were taught that being hard on yourself was the same as being responsible. But here's the truth, dear one. Kindness is not weakness, and compassion toward yourself is not indulgence. It is medicine. I remember sitting once with an old monk in a rural Vietnamese temple. We were sweeping leaves together in silence, just the sound of the broom over earth and the rustle of wind through trees. At one point, I sighed heavily. Without looking up, he said, "You are treating your mistakes like enemies. Why not treat them like tired friends?" That stopped me, because how often do we look at our own pain, our own missteps, with eyes of judgment instead of mercy? Self-compassion begins when you turn the gaze inward, not to criticize, but to cradle. It means that when you forget, you say, "I was tired, that's okay." When you're grieving, you say, "It makes sense that this still hurts." When you fall short, you whisper, "I tried," and that counts. In Buddhist teaching, compassion, karusa, is not reserved for others. In fact, it begins within. You cannot offer a cup of water if your own well is dry. So what does self-compassion look like in daily life? Maybe it's putting your hand on your heart when your thoughts turn harsh and saying, "Sweetheart, you're doing the best you can." Maybe it's taking a break, not because you earned it, but because you're human. Maybe it's writing a letter to yourself from the version of you who is wise and warm and endlessly forgiving, and then reading it aloud when the inner critic starts to shout. One elderly woman told me she keeps a photo of herself as a little girl on her nightstand. Every morning she says, "Good morning, baby. We're still here. Let's be gentle today." That's self-compassion. It's not about letting yourself off the hook. It's about unhooking from the belief that you are only lovable when perfect, because you are not a project to fix. You are a being to care for, and yes, you've made mistakes. You've been impatient. You've hurt others. You've hurt yourself. But hasn't your heart been trying? All this time, I invite you now, softly, to reflect. What would shift in your day if you treated yourself like someone you deeply loved? What if peace is not something you earn after healing, but something that creates healing the moment you offer it inward? Even a whisper of kindness toward yourself can change the tone of your entire day. Because self-compassion isn't just a feeling, it's a practice, a choice, a gentle revolution, and in that softness, peace finds a home. Let's walk now into that quieter space, where the noise of the world fades just enough for us to hear ourselves again. Because peace is not only found in giving and forgiving, but also in turning down the volume of everything we take in. The next chapter invites us into that sacred silence. Chapter 9. Limit input, increase presence. There was a time when silence was the default, when we woke to birdsong, not headlines, when a walk meant being with trees, not scrolling through feeds, when our inner world wasn't constantly interrupted by outer noise. But now we are flooded. News, messages, notifications, voices, ads, advice. Even the good stuff starts to become overwhelming when it never stops. It's not that we don't want peace, it's that we've left no space for it to enter. I once spoke with a retired nurse named Joanna. She told me she had stopped watching the news every morning, even though she'd done it for decades. When I asked why, she said gently, "I realized I was filling my spirit before I'd even asked it what it needed." That stayed with me, because here's the quiet truth. What you consume becomes what you carry, and not all of it is yours to carry. In Buddhist practice, there is a concept called sense restraint. It doesn't mean denial, it means discernment. It means noticing when your mind is being pulled in too many directions, and choosing to return, to anchor, to protect your peace like a flame in the wind. So how can we begin to limit input and increase presence? Maybe it means starting the day without checking your phone. Maybe it means turning off the TV an hour earlier and sitting with silence instead. Maybe it's deleting one app that constantly steals your attention, or choosing one day a week, a quiet Sabbath, where you fast from information and feast on stillness. It could be as simple as closing your eyes for 5 minutes and asking, "What do I truly need to hear right now?" Often the answer is not out there, it's already inside, waiting, whispering. When we lower the volume of the world, the voice of wisdom within becomes clearer. And what a shame it would be to miss that voice, the one that speaks not in arguments, but in knowing. Imagine your attention like a garden. What you water grows. If you constantly water fear, outrage, comparison, don't be surprised if that's what surrounds you. But if you tend to quiet, if you water presence, kindness, slowness, that becomes the landscape of your life. So I ask you now, what have you been listening to that no longer deserves your ears? And what might you hear if you made more room for silence? It is active choosing. It's a gentle rebellion in a world that profits from your distraction. And in that choice, in that moment of tuning in instead of out, peace begins to grow again, slowly, tenderly, but unmistakably. Now, with your inner world a little quieter, a little clearer, you may begin to remember something deeper, a truth not given by headlines, but remembered by the soul. And that is where we'll go next. To the final return, not to more input, but to identity, to remembering who you really are. Chapter 10. Remember who you are. When the noise fades, when the breath slows, when the to-do list is no longer tugging at your sleeve, what's left? Not the job title, not the roles you've played, not even the story you've been telling yourself for decades. Just this, a presence, a quietness, a spark of being that is untouched by age, loss, or labels. That is who you are. But we forget. We spend a lifetime gathering names, responsibilities, identities, like coats we drape over our shoulders. And then one day, under the weight of it all, we realize we're tired, not from what we've done, but from all we've been trying to be. I remember an elderly gentleman named George, who after retiring fell into a deep silence, not a peaceful one, but a confused one. He told me, "If I'm not a doctor anymore, then who am I?" His wife, a deeply intuitive woman, didn't answer him. Instead, she lit a candle each night, sat beside him, and simply said, "Let's find out." Together, they began to meditate, not to fix anything, but to listen to the breath, to the heartbeat, to that quiet sense of I am beneath all the doing. And over time, George found something unexpected, not a new identity to wear, but an old truth to return to, that he was not his work, not his regrets, not even his thoughts. He was presence itself, and that was enough. Buddhist teachings speak of the true self, not as something you become, but something you remember. Like clearing a dusty mirror, the reflection was always there. We had just forgotten to look. And so, dear one, I ask you now, not with pressure, but with compassion. When was the last time you sat, not to improve, but simply to be? What would you hear if you stopped asking who you should be and just listened to what is already here? Because the part of you that seeks, that strives, that aches, it's not wrong, it's just tired. And it longs not for answers, but for home. This practice of breathing, letting go, simplifying, connecting, embracing change, creating ritual, expressing emotion, offering compassion, choosing presence, it all leads here to remembrance, to the quiet recognition, I am already whole. I have always been enough. Peace is not out there. It's here, in me, now. So sit, dear friend, even if just for a moment. Put down the striving, lay aside the masks, and greet yourself, not as a project, but as a beloved returning. This is not the end of the journey. This is the beginning, again. And in that soft re-beginning, may you find the peace you've been searching for, not because it suddenly appeared, but because you finally became still enough to notice it was here all along. Conclusion: a return, not a race. So here we are, not at the end of a journey, but at the gentle curve where it circles back to the beginning. If there's one truth to carry from this time together, let it be this: inner peace is not somewhere you arrive, it's how you walk. It lives in your breath, in your pauses, in the way you notice the light through the curtain or the sound of your own heartbeat after the world goes quiet. These 10 practices, they are not steps on a ladder. They are invitations, moments waiting for you like old friends, in your cup of tea, your quiet walk, the way your hand rests gently on your chest. Not one of them asks you to be better. They simply ask you to be more present, more honest, more kind with yourself. So today, I won't tell you to change your life, just soften the way you live it. Breathe a little slower, speak to yourself like someone you love, and trust deeply that peace isn't far. It's already here, waiting for your attention. Now I gently ask you, which one of these 10 practices is already whispering your name? Which one feels less like a task and more like a return to something you forgot you loved? Let today be gentle. You've earned that. And if this message touched something in you, I invite you, with no pressure, only presence, to subscribe to Quiet Wisdom. This is a space where we don't rush to fix. We simply learn to feel, to listen, to begin again, softly. Until next time, may you walk slow, breathe deep, and remember, you are already home.